Hello, my name is Wambui Bahati. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. Today, I would love to share a story with you. I love sharing stories. Usually my stories are of the nostalgia flavor, have a nostalgic feel to them. I like telling stories about the 1950s, 1960s, and how life was so different then as compared to the life that I have today. Today, I'm going to share a story about my iPhone. So this may be, okay, boomer meets technology may be a way of explaining the story, but I believe the story is more than about technology. I have a habit when I go to bed. I never thought it was a bad habit, of charging my phone overnight. So I put an extra long cable into my phone. Near my bed, there's a box that has different cables coming out of it for charging different devices. For instance, there's a cable for the iPhone, a cable for the iPad, a cable for certain microphones, a cable for just various things. And there's an extra long cable. I always liked having an extra long cable for my iPhone because what I do is I take my iPhone, plug it in to charge it, and then I throw it to the foot of my bed. Now, I always thought that was a great idea because I felt the phone was far enough away from my head so that I'm not subject to any of those rays that are dangerous that come out of the cell phone. But I felt the phone was close enough that I could hear it ring and be able to reach it should somebody, a relative, one of my daughters, granddaughters, call me in the middle of the night and they need something. I could hear the phone and get to the phone very quickly. I also felt it was a good idea because if I was that person that needed help in the middle of the night, and I couldn't move or couldn't get out of bed for whatever reason, I could try to reach for my cell phone or take that cable and pull the cell phone to me. So I did the same thing I've always done. Oh, yes, and there's an alarm on my cell phone, 7 o'clock. It goes off every day at 7 o'clock. Unless there's a need for me to get up earlier on certain days, I'll set the alarm for earlier, but the 7 o'clock alarm always goes off no matter what. So on Sunday morning, I woke up. I felt good. My eyes opened and I started to reach for the phone. And then I'm thinking, the alarm, I'm not hearing it. The alarm didn't go off. And so I looked over there at my phone and it was smoking. There was no fire, but there was a lot of smoke around my phone. And so something was burning there. So I got a blanket, threw it over my phone, and I went for the cord and I pulled the cord because I felt I need to get the cord out of here because that's probably causing it to burn. And so I pulled the cord and I thought I had it out. And then upon looking at it further, what I had pulled was the cord, but the cord was so burnt, I just had a piece of the cord. But the main little piece that goes into the phone was still attached to the phone, and it had about an inch of very burnt and frayed wires that had been in the cable were now exposed and was now sticking out of the phone. So it looked like the little piece from the cable was welded into the phone. So I let the phone cool down. I was fanning it and everything, trying to get it to cool down so I could touch it. I touched the phone. I was able to touch the phone, and I got some pliers. And my goal was to get that little piece out of the phone. And like I said, seemed to have been like welded in there, but with a lot of muscle power and just jiggling up and down and all around and shaking it. After quite a few tries, I was able to get that little piece out of there. So the next thing I did was not such a smart thing when I think back now, is I went to that same package where the cable was. I had ordered some cables some while ago from Amazon. I went back to the same package, got a cable out, and stuck it in the phone. Now, I wasn't thinking it was the cable. I was actually, for a minute, thinking it was the phone that was causing the cable to burn. But I stuck the new cable in there because I wanted to see if it was charged, because it was saying I only had 5% charge left. And I was jiggling it around, moving it up and down and all around, trying to get the phone to charge. I couldn't get it to charge. So I took that opportunity while I still had the 5% to text my daughters and say, hey, I'm okay. My phone is dead. I don't have a phone today. And I have a granddaughter who I was letting use an older and a much older iPhone than I had. And I said, and tell the granddaughter that I'm probably going to need that phone back because my phone died. So later that day, I went down to the Apple store, and the woman there told me it was a Sunday, so they were very busy. She told me it was going to be a 2.5 hour wait for me to get my phone checked. So they gave me an appointment to come back yesterday morning. But she did ask me one question. She said, was it an Apple cable that you had in your phone? And I said, no, it was something I had ordered off of Amazon. Okay, so I went back to my appointment the next day, and when I got there, it was the same girl who had given me the appointment the day before. She was still there, and I was so happy to see her. I don't know, as I get older, it's just the little things in life that bring me joy. And so she sent me downstairs, and when we got downstairs, I let somebody know I was there for my appointment, and they said, okay, you're going to go over to that table and you're going to sit down. It felt like elementary school, but to me it was fun. It was like, go over to that table. I don't know how much fun it would have been if I had been in a hurry, but they said, go over to that table and someone will be over, like our team member or somebody will be over to assist you. So I went and sat down at the table. Now to my left was a young guy who seemed to be in his 20s, and across from me was a woman who seemed to be the same age as I was. She seemed to be in her 70s or something like that. And man, I don't know what, but she had papers had diagrams, had lists. She was taking notes, and she had someone who was working with her. And she was saying, so tell me again, if I want to do this, how do I do this? Now, how did you get there? Okay, walk me through that. You went where? Then you did what? And then you did what? And she was going, and she had she was taking notes, very detailed. And this woman, the lady who worked in the store, I know that's her job, but she was doing it very well. She was very patient with this woman because this woman was just, she just wanted to know every little detail, every dot, everything. She just wanted to know what it was and had to have it explained to her several times. And she was really getting her money's worth from that Apple store that day. So the girl who was working with her said, I'm going to be right back, but I really have to go to the bathroom right now. And that lady still didn't stop. She was saying, well, before you go, please just walk me through this. Before you go, show me that one more time. How do I get over there? And how do I save all this if I wanted to save this? And it was funny because at one point the lady was saying, I don't know how to save it. How do I save all this? And the girl who works in the store, she said, okay, so you're going to hit save. That just made me laugh. I wasn't laughing at the lady. Maybe I was a little bit. But I was laughing inside because watching this lady just made me feel so smart. So the lady went to the bathroom. When she went to the bathroom, then the lady turned to the young guy who was sitting beside me, and she said, I want to send you a text, and then I want you to text me something back. So do you still have my number from earlier? I'm thinking, this woman is just using everybody to help her in this store. So the guy said, no, I deleted it. And she said, I'm offended. I mean, it was a joke. She wasn't really. It was supposed to be a joke, I think. And so she said, I'm going to give you my number again, and I'm going to text you something, and I want you to text me something back. And so the young man took her number, and they were texting. And then by that time, her person that was working with her had come back from the bathroom. And so they were in it all over again with the notes and the diagrams and the woman explaining and walking her step by step through everything she had to do. So then I just took my iPhone and I saw these charging discs on the phone, on the table. I had never used a charging disc, but I knew what they were. So I put my phone there and it started charging. And then all of a sudden it stopped. So I turned to the young man because that's what me as the elderly do. I talk to people I don't know. And so I started talking to the young man. I told him my story about the phone. And then I said, I thought it was going to charge, but it started charging, but it stopped. And he said, well, sometimes these chargers can be sensitive. You got to get it in just the right spot. And he put my phone on the charger in a certain way that it started charging, and it didn't stop. It was charging. So I thanked the young man. Okay, so then now I'm still watching this woman and the person she's working with. Now, the young lady who works at the store is telling the elderly lady across from me, she's saying, I'm going to have to take my break now, but I'm going to make sure my manager comes over here to work with you. And the woman is going, no, no, don't leave, just help me with these. Oh no, don't go, just, and the lady who worked there assured her, just, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm going to get my manager. So then a lady came over who I guess was the manager and started working with her. And then I heard the woman across from me say to the manager, now, I need you to text me something. She says, so do you still have that information I sent you earlier? And then the manager said, well, I have the text that we did at 9:15. Now, my appointment was at 11:15. So it's going on noon now. And I'm thinking, this woman has been in this store from 9 o'clock. Oh, God. Actually, that's pretty fabulous that she has been there working with these people. They've been working with her since 9 o'clock so that she can get what she needs in order to use her phone the way she needs to use her phone. I mean, I salute you. I salute you, lady. But she still made me laugh and made me feel very, very smart. Okay, so then about that time, a young man came over to me and he said, Miss Bahati? I said, yeah, that's me. He said, how can I help you today? So, of course, I had to tell him a story about the phone. And he said, let me check something. He checked something and he saw that, he said, your phone is out of warranty. So in order to fix this that needs to be fixed, it's going to cost you about $400, maybe a little more. And he asked me that same question too. He said, but now tell me, was it a Apple cable in this phone? And I said, no, it was a cable I got from Amazon. And then he said, now we can either fix this or for the 400 or more, or you can continue to use one of the charging discs like you have now. He said, that's only going to be $29. It ended up being $49, but he said 29, but I digress. But I told him, I said, I think the charging disc at this time is going to work fine. And so I got the charging disc. Why did I want to share this story? I wanted to share this story because it is a story about boomer meets technology, but more than that, it's a story also about perspectives and gratitude. Let me tell you, this phone was pretty pricey for me. Apple iPhones are, but I wanted it. I like the iPhones. I tried going to other phones and because maybe I started with an Apple, I just find it easy to use. And every time I try to go to another type of phone, I end up running back to Apple. So I got this iPhone. It is a 15. The phones are pretty pricey. But there was never a thought in my mind of, oh my God, I might have to get a new phone. Oh my God, the phone might be dead. It may never work again. It may never take another charge. The phone may be over. But never was I upset, angry, mad about the fact that the phone may have been damaged. And I'll tell you why. And that was because I felt so good about waking up when I did. And I believe that was God that woke me up. God woke me up in time because there was a smoking phone and cable on my bed. I believe a few minutes later, the covers would have started to smolder too. And I believe that I woke up just in time to save what could have been a fire. I woke up just in time to save what could have been a very different story if I was even here to tell the story, because the phone was on my bed and I was in the bed. But for some reason, I had my alarm set at 7 o'clock. But something woke me up at 5 o'clock. And that's something I believe, like I said, God woke me up at 5 o'clock in time to stop the phone from burning any further. And all day on Sunday, I felt so grateful about the fact that God woke me up so that I could prevent something more disastrous from happening. I couldn't even be upset over the fact that my phone may have been destroyed or I know everybody kept saying, well, were they Apple cables? I couldn't even get upset that I bought maybe some defective cables, maybe, I don't know, maybe from Amazon. Well, something happened. I don't know, maybe something have had to happen to cause the phone to start smoking and start burning. But I felt so happy that the story ended the way it did. I woke up, someone woke me up, and I was able to prevent something more disastrous from happening. And so I see this as a technology boomer story, but I also see it as a story about perspectives. And I am so happy. I'm happy that it only cost me $50 to get the phone charging again. But I felt so blessed all day Sunday, all day yesterday, and I'm still feeling blessed now that, yeah, whatever happened with the phone or being without the phone, all of a sudden that just wasn't even important anymore. I just felt really happy that my bed didn't catch on fire and that I lived to tell this tale.